Here's the conspiracy, or at least as much as I understand it. David Sullivan informs David Moyes that he's received a bid from Ajax for striker Sebastian Haller. He tells him that it's 20 odd million quid. The striker wants to go and informs David Moyes that if the striker does depart, then David Moyes can have the money to reinvest in this window. Moyes, he asks, all the money in this window, how much is it? So Sullivan says 25 to 30 million. There's a little bit of money left over from before. Give us your list of strikers. David Moyes presents Sullivan with a list. 5 or 6 strikers. All the names that you heard bandied around the whole winter. You know. Diaz and Dackers and this, that and the other, right? So David Sullivan then goes to the clubs and submits offers that are not quite enticing enough to make West Ham attractive to the player and not quite high enough to activate a transfer fee that would be accepted by the selling club. He then goes back to David Moyes and says, Moyesy, I tried. I honestly tried everything. Technically, he did. Technically, he bid. He might have bid 27 million for a player that's valued at 40, but he tried, right? Then at that point, David Moyes says, oh, God bless you, Governor. Thank you very much for trying, Mr. Sullivan. I'll just crack on with what I've got with no strikers. David Sullivan, with a sort of, a Dick Dastardly sort of smile, let's say, trousers the money. Whatever, asset strips, whatever you want to call it, he takes the money away. David Moyes has been hard done by. David Moyes is the victim. David Sullivan's the aggressor in this. That I've heard this sort of thing a lot. Maybe not in as much detail, maybe not embellished, but that's the sort of thing you hear. I don't buy it. Just like we haven't bought anything. So very much like the transfer window. I don't buy it, okay? For that to happen, David Moyes has got to be one of two things. Either completely stupid or part of it. Basically, he has to be involved in this. He has to be accepting that this is happening. Or the other one is he's completely stupid. So stupid that actually keeps falling for the same trick over and over and over. A bit like Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner, if you see what I mean. When he puts the Acme TMT under the rock and he waits for Roadrunner, meep, meep, and then he blows it up and the rock falls down and crushes him. You think he'd learn, Wile E. Coyote? He never learns. Maybe Moyes is a bit like that. Maybe none of that's true. Maybe the truth is actually somewhere completely in between. Maybe just for once, the truth is what we are being told. And this is what I believe to be the case here. I don't think it's all Sullivan's fault at all. Do I think there's a lack of ambition in this window? Yes, I do. Do I think we could have pushed forward? Yeah, I thought we were in a wonderful opportunity. A wonderful opportunity to seize the moment, to go forward, and from a position of strength in fifth, strengthen the team, strengthen the squad, strengthen in a position where we really needed to. But I don't think the fact that we haven't done that is all David Sullivan. I think David Moyes has made this decision also. And I think a large part of that is the whole dithering Dave. And I don't mean that, I use that moniker as something that's been used before. He takes his time over things. You may have watched Gio's video a couple of days ago where he was talking about the room, all the scouting network, and the fact he takes his time, the fact he looks to sign a player and he looks to sign a man, and he's studious in everything that he does. You've heard David Moyes talk in press conferences and say it's going to take 3 or 4 windows. And I do think we've got to a stage now where David Moyes was presented with an option because he missed out on his top target. I think that happened. I think his top target was Joseph En-Nesyri, and I think we missed out. I don't think we bid enough. I don't think we made ourselves attractive enough to the player. I think at that point we couldn't get him. Maybe there were 1 or 2 others, but Moyes told us we bid for him. At the point we didn't get this guy, I think David Moyes then turned around and said, I will wait till next season. I'll go with what I've got. We'll get Jesse Lingard in. I'll do the false nine thing. I'll manage. So that thing about us being fifth or sixth or wherever we may be, and not grasping the nettle and not actually pushing on and thinking we can really have a go at top four, I actually think it's both of them. Because the first example, which is Sullivan, I don't think Moyes is stupid, by the way, okay? I don't think Moyes is stupid at all. I don't think he's going to keep falling for that trick. I think David Moyes is the type of guy, why would he be studious in one thing and all of a sudden be very vague in another? Surely he would want to see the documentation. He would want to know that David Sullivan was bidding for players. Moyes has got his own contacts in the game. Moyes would very much know if David Sullivan was making phony bids. He really would. Word would get around. So the only other thing is, if he knew it was happening, he would be annoyed about it, right? If that was actually happening. If David Sullivan was pretending to David Moyes to sign players, but he wasn't, David Moyes would find out. I think David Moyes, his stock is so high at the moment that he would walk away. And he would be able to walk away. And not only would he be able to walk away, I think he'd walk into a job very, very soon. Because he's done the repair job. As I've mentioned before, the dynamic of the relationship has changed. I'm really pleased that very recently it's pretty much been confirmed that David Moyes was in for that job at Everton. That he was actually having talks. He'd flown out somewhere. I can't remember exactly where. I only read the thing the other day as well. He'd flown out to somewhere for talks with the owner of Everton. And then right at the last minute, Ancelotti became available. So Moyes, you can understand why Everton wanted to go for Ancelotti. Moyes suddenly was available. We stepped in. We signed Moyes. That's why we tried for Allardyce. Allardyce didn't want to come. We had Moyes. We had Houghton. We very nearly got Houghton. Moyes came along. But at that point, he's had such a bad run, let's be fair. He wasn't really going to be the choice for many clubs at all. Now it's very different. Now people will look at David Moyes and think, wow, it's nothing short of miraculous what we've done. I think the view of West Ham at the moment would be somewhat tarnished. The loss against Liverpool, the transfer deadline day activity don't look so good. But David Moyes' stock is high. People are looking at him thinking, wow, this is really good. This guy has gone in there. He's done a job at West Ham, not once, but twice. Now people are looking less at his Manchester United record. Now they're thinking, well, that was a bit of a freak. And actually, they had Van Gaal in there. He didn't really do much. Jose Mourinho got rid of him as well. It's taken Solskjaer a long time to get the team performing. And let's be fair, he hasn't won any silverware yet. So I think now people are sort of looking more at Moyes' Everton record and his 2 stints at West Ham, thinking this is a good coach. This is a guy that does his due diligence. And this is a guy that built a big and very, very good backroom team around him. So with that in mind, I don't think that he's in a position where he has to accept anything and everything that Sullivan says. I think he just walk. And I do think it's a shame. And I am annoyed by the transfer window. Because I do think there was an opportunity for us all window to get Josh King. Believe it or not, I think if Moyes had said go and get him, I think Sullivan probably would have done. But the fact that that's not happened probably means right at the last minute, Moyes said, no, actually, I don't want to. We'll never know until the next transfer window, by the way. We won't know this. Because apparently the thing is now actually he had that 20, 25 million, whatever it might have been. That's now going to go to next year's pot. I'm not sure about that. I need the proof of the pudding is in the taste. I'm not saying everything is rosy in the world of West Ham at all with transfers. But I don't believe that the board have done Moyes on this. I really don't. I think he is part of it. I actually think it's his decision. I think if we're looking at a lack of ambition, it might be David Moyes. But here's the important thing on this, by the way. And here's my point. I don't necessarily feel that just because David Moyes has lost to Liverpool, and let's be fair, he showed not a huge amount of ambition in that game. Just because David Moyes has not shown a huge amount of ambition, let's be fair, to spend that 20, 25 million quid, whatever it might have been, on a player who's 4th or 5th choice, just because he hasn't done that, doesn't mean that I think David Moyes has surrendered the league. There's a difference between him saying, I'll wait for the right guy, and him saying, do you know what, we'll just accept mid-table. Because that's sort of what I'm getting. And this is the conspiracy. The conspiracy is David Sullivan's taken the money, he's not reinvested, he's put the money in his trouser pockets. There's not a lot of room in those trouser pockets for all that cash. But he's taken that money and he's just done him, and there's no ambition. And David Sullivan said, we'll finish 10th, 11th, 12th. That's absolutely fine. I don't think that's happening. I don't think he's been mega ambitious, but the fact that even David Sullivan's not done his little sneaky little punt, I did say that correctly, by the way, he's not gone and got a Wellington Paulista or somebody like that from Brazil, or like he likes to do, probably shows that Moyes is dictating what's going on with that squad. But I don't think David Moyes is saying we'll only finish 10th. I think David Moyes still has ambition. Does he still want to win the cup? Did he ever want to win the cup? I don't know. I need to see proof of that from David Moyes. I want it to be the case. I worry for our record against the bigger teams. I worry for how we set up against Liverpool. That we won't impose ourselves on Manchester United. But I'm not sure David Moyes has chucked the towel in. I also don't think that he's thinking, okay then, just because we haven't got our striker, that's it, we'll take 10th. I think he's still going to go for it. I think he's sat now trying to devise a plan to actually make whatever it is he's got in his mind work. Gio suspects Jesse Lingard might be the striker. Let's take that as an example. To make that work. I reckon he has got something up his sleeve. Now, it may or it may not work, but David Moyes will think that it will. And I think it's easy to think to yourself, well, just because it's, crap going against Liverpool, crap transfer deadline day, we're now going to start losing lots and lots of games consecutively. We might. But what if we don't? What if we draw our next game, then win the next 2 after that? And then, whatever, maybe we lose another one, but then win the next 3. What about if in 10 games' time we find ourselves in 6th or something like that? It's not beyond the realms of possibility. What then? Then you might have to look back and think this has been a good thing. Actually, maybe I'm stretching it a little bit there. It might not. I'm just saying, I don't think it's doom and gloom now. I need the proof. I need to... That's my suspicion. What I'm saying is I don't believe the first conspiracy theory. David Sullivan has tricked David Moyes and taken the money. No, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. I find the other one more believable. That David Moyes has thought, no, I'm going to keep that money and I'm going to spend it in the summer. Now, we'll have to wait until the summer to see whether that's been proven right. But maybe, just maybe, despite the crap last transfer deadline day, despite the fact that we don't have a recognised striker, we might actually finish the season all right.